Hello and welcome to Tar Heel Teachers at Home. I'm Marlo Artis, proud principal of Craven Early College and the moderator of this program. Tar Heel Teachers at Home is an interview series focused on engaging North Carolinians in conversations around education. Each week, I'm happily joined by a wonderful panel of educators, each one representing a particular subsection of education. We'll start our introductions with our elementary school co-host.
Hi, my name is Amy Tart. I teach fifth grade for Clinton City Schools. This is my 10th year, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, I am Gemette McEachern. I am the principal at New Century International Middle School. I am also Cumberland County Principal of the Year for 2023. I've been in education for over 19 years. My Twitter handle is Gemette M. So please check me out on Twitter, and I'm so honored to be here tonight.
All right, good evening. My name is Rachel Frye. I am the 2023 Burroughs Wellcome Fund Southwest Region Teacher of the Year. I have 21 years of experience with English. I run a leadership program and a teacher cadet program at East Lincoln High School in Denver, North Carolina. And my Twitter handle is at RachelFrye214.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Arisha Smalls. I am the AIG Program Coordinator for Cumberland County Schools. I'm finishing up my 16th year in education, and you can follow me on Twitter at Smalls Arisha.
Also, we have such a dynamic panel for this conversation. We're so excited. For this episode of Tar Heel Teachers at Home, we are chatting with Donna Bledsoe, who is the 2023 Wells Fargo, North Carolina Principal of the Year. She is the principal of Cedar Ridge Elementary in Surry County. Donna, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm very glad to be here.
We're so excited to have you on the program. We're filming this interview just a couple days after your big announcement. So Donna, tell us about Friday. Take us into Friday's ceremony. When you think about Friday, what comes to your mind?
Honestly, I was just grateful to be in the room. I have been in awe of my cohort. They are amazing. Have gotten to work with them at a principal summit. And so I was just honored to be there. Really didn't have any expectations of this sort of outcome, and am just really humbled and grateful.
And certainly many great things were said about you at the ceremony. And it is a wonderful company of principals, but you certainly were named the Principal of the Year, and we're so excited to chat with you. So Donna, tell us about your path to the principalship.
So my mother went into education later in life. It's something that she had always worked for. So I got to see that as a middle schooler of her accomplishing that dream. And she is somebody who truly believed that every day in a classroom was a gift, and she exuded that. So in high school, I did some internships in elementary school, and I taught lots of swimming lessons, just found that I really had a love for children as well, and followed her path into education, graduating from Appalachian. Was grateful as a very young teacher to get some leadership abilities, training people how to use smart boards. I'm old, right? So that was a very new technology when I graduated in 2004 that I got the pleasure of leading people through, and that kind of set my path. And I only taught for 4 years in the classroom. Came out at year 5 as an instructional specialist, did that for 2 years, and then made my way into administration, where I've been for the last 13. And so for me, I never lost that joy of wanting to be in a classroom, and I have really worked diligently to teach each day that I've been an administrator, a small group, or tried to stay in touch with that true passion, because I think it's the greatest joy there is.
It certainly is, being able to serve in schools and being able to share your leadership skills and be able to develop other leaders. Tell us about Cedar Ridge Elementary School.
Well, I think it is the best place that there is. Of course, I am surrounded by amazing staff members. Cedar Ridge is a high poverty school, very rural, on the border of Virginia, right off of an interstate. So we do have a transient population and an at-risk population, but our staff comes to work every day to be 100% all in for our students and create learning experiences that are really, we're trying to make memories for children and make learning fun. And I think that that's what sets our school, that's what makes them so special, is that we always say the answer to every question is what's best for students, and try to navigate in that way.
That's great. And it's no surprise that one of your students, actually, I love that when you shared this, actually wrote, "Miss Bledsoe, you are my safe space." That just really warmed my heart, because that's what you want to be as a leader. You want to be a safe space for your students and be somebody who is a great resource for your staff.
Yeah, so that student was listening to my speech and cried then, and has cried all day. That child is very excited, and that makes her even more a part of this journey. And so I'm real grateful for that too.
Yes, it's so exciting. What questions do we have for Donna Bledsoe, the 2023 Wells Fargo, North Carolina Principal of the Year?
I'd love to jump in first. Since Donna, you just talked about your classroom experience. How has your classroom experience shaped who you are as a leader?
So obviously my classroom experience was a little shorter lived. I not real sure why now in hindsight I was on such a fast track, but am grateful for it. And so I think for me, because it was shorter, I enjoyed every day of it. And as a administrator and being out of the class, I really seek those opportunities to be in classrooms and to work with children. So I make that a priority in my day. I've taught this year a group of at-risk first graders as we implement letters alongside our staff, and it's the best part of my day.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I'll jump in with the next question, Ms. Bledsoe. I read where you had a 87% decrease in discipline, and across the state, discipline is on the high. So talk to us about your strategies along with your staff to make such a huge decrease.
All right, that's my dogs, if you can hear them. Sorry about that. So here's what I'll say. Yes, in my time in 7 years, our discipline did decrease by 87%. We're very proud of that. Part of that is our practice, our social emotional learning practices, to kind of, I won't say reteach teachers, but reframe how we were handling discipline. So in our classrooms now, common corners are in every part of our building. Students can come out of the cafeteria into a common corner. We also use it as that one in particular as a literacy space. Fidgets, flexible seating. So we did a lot of reframing in that way. I will give the asterisk that right now, our discipline has ticked back up, in particular with our pre-K and kindergarten students. So there is no cure-all, right, is what I'm getting at. Yes, it did decrease, but post-COVID, we're having to really intensify that work again. And we do see some more tier 2, tier 3 behaviors with our youngest learners. And we're just working to mitigate that right now. I think kind of like many people are in the elementary setting. That seems to be something I hear a lot, that some of our younger learners are coming to us. And so we're just going back. We're just doing the work over again with our staff. We're working a lot in a leadership framework that my school counselor and I helped write across our district. We're part of a team that helped do that. And through that, some of that is just the self-regulation piece. And so we are working, going back and working more intensely with zones of regulation, reframing with our teachers to try to get that back, because like I said, there's not a silver bullet, and we did have a great decrease, but we've seen a little more increase this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't want to sell something that's not real, that we did the work and it worked, but it's a constant work.
Of course. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
So I am currently sorry, Risha, you want to
Go
go?
ahead, girl. No, go.
So I'm currently completing my MSA at Campbell, and so I was really excited to talk to you tonight. What would you say is the top 3 concepts or initiatives that need to be in place for a school to be successful? Like 3 foundations that just have to be in place.
I think the most important work is the work on the school culture. If you can get that right, and for us, it was really being student-centered to have that as our purpose. So many other things fall into place. And just like, working with teachers on how to handle tier 2, tier 3 discipline, things like that, it's a constant work. We don't change our themes. There's a big thing every year. Let's have this theme now. This year, let's have this theme. We re-imaged our school vision and statement, and we have never swayed from that. And that is, we call it joy, but we might frame it a little different every year, but it's going back to that purpose. So for me, the number one thing is school culture. Because if you don't feed the teachers, right, they might snack on the children a little. So really doing that culture work, that everybody's part of the vision, everybody's work matters, everybody can be a mentor in the building. And the second thing is really being purposeful, data driven, but celebrating successes too. There's a story behind every data number. And so we just finished all of our end of grade testing. So we're in the last 4 days of school. We started school early. So I think at that part is, yes, we've been data driven all year and focused, but even if it didn't work and the numbers weren't exactly what they needed to be, still celebrating every student and teacher and story in there. And the third thing would be, I don't know, being a little innovative. You're not going to meet your answers by doing the same thing you did the day before or the year before. And so I think continuing to look and trust your teachers to be the experts, because they're in the building doing the work, and they know what needs to happen. And so just kind of trusting and believing in them and letting them try new crazy things. And what's the worst that can happen, right? You just don't do it again. So as long as it's in the best interest of kids, we try it out. And so for me, I don't know, those are probably my 3 things. Maybe not your textbook 3 things, but those are the 3 things I believe.
No, I love that. Thank you so much. And then also, I know you spoke about having a rural community. How do you build that outreach with the community so that it's really a partnership with the community and the school to create that culture like you were speaking of?
We are in a rural school. It is very, even people within our district, it's maybe not a place they even know of, because there's not really a lot of commerce out that way. So I think for us, going in and making sure that we were partners with the Youth Foundation, building them up, getting to parents that way, going out doing home visits. We have a book bus that goes out in the summer to deliver books and snacks, and working to do home visits when those are needed. Just really, we've had nights over the years where we met with our ML families and said, if you need a place to use a computer if you're going back to school, come use our computers. So I think it's just trying to figure out who your stakeholders are and reach them all in different ways in rural communities.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I read in one of your interviews, you were talking about how we deplete our cups when we are trying to fill other people's cups. And I know everybody on here, we're all in education. I know we all feel that. We're not going to tell our viewers what time of day it is right now that we're trying to make this happen, so others can grow around the state. But you were saying that we deplete our cups to fill other people's cups, and that we should look for the joy in each day. And so I just wanted to extend an opportunity to you to see if you wanted to share some of the joy just from today. I don't know if you've already had an opportunity to talk about your happy thing today, but what was your happy thing today?
So I believe that there is no leadership award without really good people around you. And so my biggest blessing today was getting to celebrate with my staff and see how proud they are, that while my name may be there, they know that they own the fact that our school is being spoken about. And to see kids like so proud that they're in tears, and teachers, and I don't know, it just makes you feel like I, I haven't done everything right, but I've done something right. And so I think today that's probably my biggest joy, is getting to share that with them, and to really mean that we really do share this.
How do you think you can bottle up the feeling and the excitement that you're feeling now and spread that into your next year to motivate continuous growth?
I think it's perspective, really making sure that we're advocating for the good that's happening in our building, advocating for our teachers who are really doing the tireless work. I think that, it's really just going forward and showing people there's so much good happening. Come see it. Like, don't, don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe a data point of a state accountability model that doesn't look like the state accountability model next door to you, across the country from you. Like, it's really, for me, I think going into the next year, it's showing that, like, if we support each other, I think there's a lot of strength in that across North Carolina.
So true. And we certainly have to support each other. Donna, can you talk about the weekly 15-minute enrichment period? In education, we have so many different things going on, and teachers have to do the letters training, and so much going on. How did you all find the time to still be able to carve out for that weekly 15-minute enrichment period, and tell us about it?
So that has morphed over time. So again, there's 7 years into this. So we've done it as what they would have for special areas plus some. So the time that they would go out to like art, music, core classes like that, PE, those folks picked a passion, and then our kids got to pick who they went to. So you might have a school counselor that does yoga, gardening, relaxation, self-regulation, PE teacher who teaches, more sport games or getting ready for a 5K. So that's how it started. I will tell you, this year it's morphed even a little bit further than that we actually are not doing it weekly, but once a month. And we close, like, I don't want to say shut down the school, but everybody in the school. I have a group. We expanded it because we wanted children to be able to have more opportunities for passions. So instead of offering 6 things, we now offer 30 different avenues for students to go to across the school. So I've kept my little Minecraft club because that's what they like. I don't know that that's necessarily my passion, but I got kind of niched into that one over the years. So I keep that one. My assistant principal does digital photography. We have, and so same thing. So we've just morphed it. So that's where we started, and that's what we've done. And did that during COVID. And then this year decided what's next. And so it's always looking for that what's next thing for our kids. And so this just became, they still have weekly time in their special area, where on Friday, the specialists are still doing a lot of that, where they can do the robotics and the coding. But now it's 45 minutes on a Friday morning. And we just make it happen before they do letters, but the teachers love it. So the teacher likes calligraphy. We fund that through some restaurant nights that we have. And so we buy everything for the teachers. We call it Pi Day. It's Passions, Innovations, and Explorations. And everybody gets excited. And our school improvement team just voted and said it was worth the time out of the classroom, because it's not really out of the classroom. They're still learning. And so we we just decided as a school improvement team that it was worth it.
That is fantastic. We have to make time for that experiential learning and exploratory opportunities for our students. And so many times when we think about summer programs and different after school initiatives, we always have space for that. But when we can build that into the school day and make certain that every student has access, it can be so impactful.
Yeah, and I think in a community like ours, we don't get the after, we're never, not everybody's gonna be able to be picked up after school. And what we see is sometimes kids who don't perform well in other things excel when in their group. And so it's a chance for them to feel successful and also something to motivate maybe some unmotivated learners to get that time in their schedule.
And I also want to note too, you all have taken the EOG and your scores are trending in the right direction. So it hasn't impacted your assessment results in a negative way in any type of way.
No, I think our growth will look really good, kind of like everybody else working to trend up again in proficiency, but our Dibbles looks real good in the year 1 of letters implementation. So yeah, I think we're trending right to get back post-pandemic numbers, but our growth is going to be in my projection, who knows what it'll be, right? When it goes out into the land of the numbers, whatever formula we get out there. But so far it looks good.
That's good.
You were speaking about letters. So as an elementary school teacher, I feel that pain in a different level. And it is such great training, but how have you really helped support your teachers when they're going through this wealth of knowledge and training to keep them from being burnt out and still use these great strategies?
So we're real lucky that our district does give some built-in work days for that. And also we cover teachers we do it on Fridays, but they get like 2 hours of Friday to do their work in it too. So that has been helpful for buy-in, right? Because we're given time. The time is productive away from students because it's usually when they're doing some assessments or Friday, and part of it is so we've worked out that piece because my school improvement team didn't want to take away from kids because they're amazing, right? Even they wanted their time, but both. And I think for me, one is doing the letters work with my staff. So I did have that first grade flex group where I worked on the zapping and the tapping and the all the stuff, right? And I'd say, oh, I tried this with my group, or I would go in a classroom and I'd see a resource. And so that kind of got the conversation going once we got into Unit 2. We made a lot for our teachers so that they could just pick it up, make a copy, tried to really make the work less for them. Sometimes it was a lot to take on, but we're grateful to do that if it made it easier on the teachers on the implementation part. Because if we believe it's right for kids, I think our job as administrators is to make it easier to implement.
That's amazing. Everything right there is just, I can already tell why you're in the seat that you're in, because just giving that amount of support to teachers, and especially you being in there with them and saying, I'm going to learn this with you, I'm going to do this with you. That's just great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been good for all of us. And I think that I'm very excited for the future of North Carolina with letters implementation. I think it's right. I think it gives us meat to read to achieve. Our scores are good, but they're probably not the story that our they work so hard. So you want like 100%, right? Because you've worked so hard, but the funnel is right. So this is the most growth our kindergartners have ever had, and the highest they're going out into first grade in 7 years. So I think the trend's going to be right.
Ms. Bledsoe, you've mentioned your school improvement team a couple of times during this little chat of ours, and it seems like you really rely on them a lot. How do you ensure an effective team?
So we don't make, I won't say we don't make any decisions. I mean, obviously there are some decisions that as administrator you make, but I think it's really important in a school culture to make sure that your school improvement team has a voice in everything that happens. And so for us, it's going in and making sure that they have a voice in how we're spending the money. We give them budget updates every month, how money was spent, what resources they need. We ask them all the time, like, what do you need? Because that's where we're going to allocate our resources. So I think for us, it's just over the years, making sure that they know they have a voice, and everybody in the building knows everything runs through that team. And that's just how it's just how it works. I wish I had all the answers, but I surely do not. And it's great to have that insight. And I think it makes our school more effective in the end, because we get to hear everybody's perspective, how things affect our classified staff. And, it's just bringing all the players to the table and listening, and sometimes realizing that what you thought was going to be really good is not going to work along the way. Or just like when we said, you can have a half day for letters, and they said, no, we'll take it extended planning, basically. And so that all those decisions came from them. So it's been very beneficial to get new initiatives off the ground.
So, Donna, I'll ask, it's one of the focuses of the regional teacher team this year to support beginning teachers, because we feel like if we support the beginning teachers, they're far more likely to stay. In the same vein, if you could give one piece of advice to a beginning principal, to a new principal, what advice would you give them?
That you can't do everything in a short amount of time, no matter how much you want to. You got to, I say that because I was guilty of that in the beginning. I was like, these are all the things we're going to do. And then that overwhelms people, right? And you have your people who jump on board. But so I think in hindsight, I would tell a new teacher, pick one thing, make it your absolute thing that you want to accomplish, and then see where you can get, because it takes a few years to see results from your vision. The second thing would be perspective. You better focus on your 80, because if you're creating change, there's going to be some 20 in there that may not that may hurt a little bit. I'm still working on that perspective, because that's just the way it is. I think in leadership, nobody's going to always think that you're making all the right decisions, because they don't understand the big picture. So I think for a new principal, I would, just like you would for a first year teacher, say, focus on the positive and keep your perspective right. As long as you're making decisions in the best interest of kids, you're going to be fine.
Awesome.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. Good luck. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It is very different to be a principal in 2023 than it was in 2019. And that is what I would say to anybody out in the world, that it's just not the same. We're not in the same ballpark as we were. We've learned a lot of really good, but things are different. And so you really have to keep your perspective, I think, and right now.
With that being said, Ms. Bledsoe, you have the opportunity now to represent all of the principals across North Carolina. Yeah. And you're going to also have the opportunity to sit in many tables to represent the voices of many principals in North Carolina. What is the one thing that you plan to advocate on behalf of the principals right now in North Carolina?
So that's a big question, or a big. I'm very anxious to learn and to see. I think for me right now, advocating as principals, it's to have the right resources at the right time, and to see if there are things that can be taken off of our plate in order to make our focus on the right things, which is our children and our teachers. And are there things that maybe are a hindrance to that? And I go so much as to, like, there's a lot of paperwork sometimes, and you know, you talk about teacher evaluations. Well, if you have 60 staff members and they're all being evaluated, and you have a stellar teacher, just because they got employed in 2011, you don't necessarily need to go do 3 formal observations on that teacher, plus walkthroughs and everything else you're doing, and sit down with that cumbersome process. Maybe they could have an abbreviated observation too. I think there's just some little things there. I mean, that's a very small, minuscule example of what I think may be roadblocks or things to advocate for in the principalship to make us more effective for our schools. But I do think, you know, along the way, you hope that you can kind of get in a room to say, could this system be more, at least user friendly? Do we got to check 90 check boxes, or could some of them stay from observation 1 to observation 2? You know, and people don't realize, but those are things that take a lot of time away from the teaching and learning, to just do those systems that maybe could be a little more user friendly to all of us. And as far as the rest of it, I don't know. I'm working on the big lofty things. I'm still a little in shell shock that I'm even doing all this.
I understand.
What I appreciate.
Excuse me. How has the teacher shortage affected your school?
So we are affected in that, for instance, our Title I job that we use also as like a reading coach. We were not able to fill it this year. It takes a specialized degree for that. Very grateful that I had some retired staff come back and work their 30 hours and take on that role. So I think for what I see is that it's roles that maybe need a even more specialized degree that I am seeing that shortage in first. So it's going to be interesting as some money doesn't keep flowing, you know, that may have kept some. So I don't know yet. I have some wonders about going into next year and what that's going to look like. I've been real lucky to have some residents from a UNCG program. And so we do have a pipeline of some upcoming teachers who will be stars. And we hope that, you know, to see more and more of that pipeline over North Carolina, but also people to get into some continuing degrees for reading specialist positions, EC positions. You know, I think that's going to be where we may struggle.
Well, regardless of whatever challenges arise at Cedar Ridge Elementary School, one thing I know for sure based on this conversation, they have a very thoughtful leader who is going to approach various challenges in such a intentional way in order to have the most impact for the students. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us for this special conversation. It has been a delight to have you on Tar Heel Teachers at Home. Thank you. It has been my pleasure staying up with all of you. Well, you are going to stay up with us, so we certainly want you to stay in contact with us. And if there's anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we welcome you to come back on the program as you travel across the state of North Carolina to come on the show and tell us all about the things that you're seeing in North Carolina's public schools. And you certainly have an invitation to come by Craven Early College as well. I'd love for you to visit our campus because I just think you're a very thoughtful leader, and I certainly have enjoyed this conversation with you. Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Give me a follow at Donna Bledsoe 14. I'm already following you. We hope that our audience will follow us on social media. Please follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at Tar Heel Teachers. Please like our Facebook page, visit our website, tarheelteachers.com, Subscribe to our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms. Please use our hashtag Tar Heel Teachers so we can find all of your great comments. We'd like to thank our wonderful group of co-hosts for joining us for this conversation. Amy Tart, Gemette McEachern, Rachel Frye, and Arisha Smalls. And once again, we'd like to thank our special guest for joining us. She is Donna Bledsoe, the 2023 North Carolina Wells Fargo Principal of the Year. I said it out of order. The Wells Fargo North Carolina Principal of the Year. Wells Fargo is first because they paid the money. We thank you all so much for watching our program. We'll see you soon.